Hi, Jessica. Welcome to Birth in Focus. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to more officially meet you.
I know.
We've been following each other on Instagram for a long time, and we've
Mhm.
spent a lot of time in the DMs, but it's a little better to actually get to have a conversation with you. So I'm really excited and looking forward to learning more about you and your kiddos and your journey through birth and breastfeeding. Would you mind starting off just kind of telling everybody else a little bit about you? I feel like I know a lot about you, but
Yeah. My name is Jessica Shirley, almost 36 years old. I'm married to my husband for almost 14 years this fall, but I met him when I was 14.
it's so
So we've
sweet.
known each other for a long time. We've got five beautiful children ranging from 2 years old to 13 and a half. So we've got kids in all of the different stages. We homeschool and we are learning how to homestead, and I love the Lord.
That's amazing. Yes, so you do cover all of your bases. You've got birth and breastfeeding and homesteading and milk cows and everything in
Yeah.
between. Like yeah, a couple like things on your Instagram that really stood out lately was the garlic. I think that's what it was. Like your whole was it drying and like processing garlic?
Yeah, we had a huge garlic harvest, and that was our first time, and it was fun. It's
Yeah,
fun.
you may
It's
not
something
ever
else.
have to do it again.
No, well,
Like that was a lot of garlic.
I'm hoping we'll make it till next year because you can only do it once a year.
Okay.
And so we cook a lot here at home, so we'll see.
You do. Yep, that's another thing I was gonna mention. Like I don't think I could ever try it, but I love watching like you make the most epic food that I've just like never even heard of. Like and I just don't know how like where people learn that sort of thing. Like to just be so good at cooking and growing food and just all the amazing things that you do while also looking like so gorgeous while you do it. Homesteading supermodel. And I just love following along in your stories and seeing all the fun adventures that you're always up to.
Oh, thank you. I feel like food is a love language. And I learned most of what I know about food from my mom and my dad.
Oh,
And
that's so
so,
sweet. I love that. Okay, well, let's jump right in then and talk about if you want, like, would you want to share maybe a little bit about just briefly like about some of your birth stories? Have that you have five kiddos? Have
yeah,
were they all home births
no,
or okay.
no. So my first was just like your standard pregnancy here.
Mhm.
I got induced, and there were just things that had happened through the birth that le- I just wasn't settled with. And then after I had her, a friend of mine had a natural medication free birth,
Mhm.
and I was like, huh. And it kind of got my gears turning, and I started looking into midwifery. And then I had my second baby at a birth center with a midwife. We barely made it there. We showed up at 6 and I had her at 6:09.
Oh wow.
So that was really intense. So then my third birth, I was like, we should stay at home. I was
Yeah.
a good candidate for a home birth, and his birth was just really peaceful, fast. And so I had him at home. It was a water birth. And then my fourth baby, man, I've got a lot of babies. She was also a home birth. She was my biggest baby, 10.3 pounds.
Wow.
She was a chunker.
Oh my
And
goodness.
then my fifth was at home, a water birth. I feel like his birth was redeeming. And if I had a checklist of
Mhm.
everything that I would want for a birth, like it was really sweet. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so four out of hospital births, three home
Mhm.
births. So, yeah, like when you obviously I'm sure your breastfeeding journey has been different with all of them as well, but let's start from the very beginning. How did you feel about breastfeeding? What were your goals for breastfeeding kind of as a first-time mom going into this for the very first time? How did you approach breastfeeding then, 13 and a half years ago?
Okay, yeah. I was young when we got pregnant. I got pregnant unexpectedly.
Mhm.
And I did not have a maternal bone. I want to preface, like, I just no maternal bone at all. Like, me and my husband, I wanted to be a businesswoman, one kid, skyrise loft in downtown. And so when I found out I was pregnant and choosing, I was like, okay, I'm going to breastfeed. It was like a transactional to me. I'll
Mhm.
feed her, she'll grow. And then I was like, at 6 months, I'm going to wean her because she's going to have teeth probably. And then I'm going to switch her to formula. And so
Mhm.
I just kind of was like, it was like black and white for me. And I went to the breastfeeding class at the hospital and I was like, okay, like baby's going to come out. She's going to know what to do. I'm going to know what to do because my instincts are going to kick in. And it wasn't that. It was the beginning of her journey was a little hellacious. So it kind of, it was really hard. So
Mhm.
a lot of things changed. We just had a lot of issues with like latching thing felt natural about it. Like I didn't know what to do with her. I didn't know how to latch her on and I got so engorged. I mean, they were like underneath my collarbone and in
Mm.
my armpit and I remember just like crying a lot and I met the most wonderful IBLC. I was actually going to quit breastfeeding because my nipples were just so botched.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it. And she was just so encouraging. And she was like, well, you can hold your baby differently. Like, it was like, there's all these different things that you can do.
Yeah.
We got me like a nipple shield to help heal, and it didn't hurt. Like, it was wild. And then from then on, I was like, okay, like, I know that I can do this. My journeys after were a little bit, each one have been very different, but that's kind of how it started in the beginning.
So going into it, like I guess a couple different things, because you said you kind of you it was transactional and like you were just gonna do it for 6 months is kind of like a minimum type thing.
Mhm.
Doesn't sound like you were very emotionally attached to breastfeeding,
Yeah.
I guess, in the beginning. And then on
Mhm.
top of that, you struggled to breastfeed in the
Yeah.
beginning. So, one, I'm just amazed that you even attempted to breastfeed. Like breastfeeding is so hard, and I feel like
Yeah.
when it's especially when it is even harder than maybe what's normal, if you're not truly invested and like truly dedicated to it, it can be so easy to
Right.
quit. And so like I'm amazed that you didn't quit for
Yeah.
starters, but then also I would love to hear a little bit about kind of maybe what shifted, if something shifted for you, what shifted and when in that breastfeeding journey, because again, you weren't super attached to it, but you
No.
did keep going, and so maybe something switched after she was born, or you were just
Well,
stubborn and gonna do it one way or another.
I'm really stubborn, and I was met with a lot of, not from everybody in my life, but a lot of people were like very yeah, it's hard, like you're probably not going to be able to do it, and just kind of this not very supportive, like, you can try, but you're going to end up having to give the baby formula. And so like I kind of have like my husband will laugh when people tell me I can't do something. It is like, okay.
Sit down and watch.
Yeah. But there was like this, like, I don't know how to, like, I had this precious thing. And there's at the time, I didn't know how I was going to be a mom. I didn't know any of it. Like because she was unexpected. And so when I was holding her, there was this deep instinct that I was like, I need to feed her. And I kind of think that the Lord had a little bit to do with that because there was a lot of healing that took place for me and myself. But when we got to do that first latch, I remember being like, okay, we can do this. And I just took it like one day at a time. And once we got over the initial hump, it was like, I think the bond that I had with her is what really, like fueled me to
Mm-hmm.
continue to breastfeed. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I really can only imagine, but I mean, I often
Yeah.
do as someone who hopes to be a mom someday. I do envision myself, breastfeeding, and I just like can't imagine the bond that comes with that. And just how
Yeah.
sweet and special it is. I've heard amazing things. Obviously, I've heard that it's really hard too.
Yeah.
So briefly, because I mean, I have like a really long list of questions to ask, but I do want to briefly kind of hear how, like, some of the similarities and differences, I guess, between all five, because I'm assuming that you nursed all five of them.
I'm still nursing.
Still nursing. Okay. So hold on. Before we get into like the differences between each one, let's do some breastfeeding math. Okay, so your oldest is 13 and a half, right? So like have you ever like added up like how long you breastfed her plus how long you
Yeah.
breastfed number 2 and number like 1, have you had breaks in between? Have you stopped nursing in between or have you been
Um,
nursing for 13 and a half years straight?
so usually they're about to wean and then I'm into my next pregnancy.
Mhm.
However, this last pregnancy, I nursed my daughter until I was 5 months pregnant. So, and she was 24 months when she weaned. So, yes, I actually wrote it down because I was
Yeah.
kind of curious.
Yeah.
So, I have been
Share.
breastfeeding for 122 months, which is 10.2 years out of the last 13 and a half, which is
Wow.
3,710 days. I'm counting.
And counting.
Micah's, he'll be 26 months here soon.
Okay.
And he has no interest in weaning.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think he'll be my longest time.
Yeah, okay. I'm probably gonna squirrel and it's gonna be terrible. But it's fine. It's gonna be such an epic, episode full of amazingness. It's just maybe not gonna make any sense. Okay, so
I
Micah
love
is
it.
still nursing and at 26 months. Is
Yep.
he currently your longest or just looking to be the longest?
Judah was, I think it was right at 26 months, and Michael will be 26 months here in like 2 weeks.
Okay.
So, but he like by now, I can tell when they're getting ready to
Mm-hmm.
because I let them self wean.
Okay.
And he's just nowhere. He just has zero interest in weaning at all.
I mean, I support it, but it's not I'm not the one doing all the work. So,
Yeah.
um, So so you've let each one self wean, so they just naturally, I guess, all kind of self weaned at about the same age, or did some of them wean earlier than others?
Around the 24-month mark, Brinley
Mm-hmm.
was my youngest. She was 21 months. And hers was weird because we were still nursing like twice a night and three times during the day. And normally there's like this like slow, like I don't offer, but I don't refuse.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of how I've always approached weaning is if they ask for it, I give it to them. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't offer it. Like in the younger days, you kind of encourage them to nurse or whatever. No, I went down and I remember I was sitting on their bedroom floor and I went to nurse her and she screamed and pushed away. And I was like, that's weird. And I just kind of respected that. And that was what happened every single time I tried to nurse her. And I was
I was gonna
heartbroken
say, but
because
did you cry?
I was heartbroken because
Yeah.
I was like,
Like
hey,
you're like, I respected that, but did you cry? Like we all know
I
you
was
cried.
devastated because I was just, it's just such a sweet bond. And I was like, no warning. And it's funny because if you know my daughter now, that's her personality. When she has her mind made up about something, like she's done. Like,
I wonder
you are
where she
not,
gets that.
she is not changing her mind. And so, yes.
That is so sweet. I love that. Okay. Okay. So yeah, so about 24, we'll say 24 months on
Yeah.
average with
Yeah.
each. That's really cool. I love that. Okay. So now let's go back to kind of each one's journey and maybe some of the
Mhm.
similarities and differences that you had with each one.
Okay. So one of the similarities is like all of my kids have had sensitivities. So I've had to like cut out different kids. It was different things, but it was like dairy, gluten. Judah was the hardest because I had to cut out dairy, gluten, soy, nuts, eggs, I think onion too, corn. So like all the things
What did you eat?
like meat, vegetables, fruit.
Oh, you're so tough.
Potatoes. And so that was hard. So that was a similarities. We've had tongue ties has been like a reoccurring thing in my breastfeeding journey. Some kids, so Micah's has been probably my easiest journey. Riley's was probably my hardest because she had her tongue revision was really hard, and she was my first baby to have breast refusal. So she had like a oral aversion and she refused the breast for like a solid 2 weeks, and then we had to kind of fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And that was my first time. And that was hard because it was my fourth baby. And so, like, my fourth baby, I was like, okay, we've got this. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get past, the initial learning one another, and then it's just going to be smooth sailing. And hers was a hard journey for me, like a really hard journey.
Yeah.
And so Brinley's was pretty easy. And then Caden's was hard in the beginning and then easy.
So, with each of your breastfeeding journeys, or out of which ones did you seek support or need support from lactation consultants? Did you need one for, or use one for each baby, or just some of the ones that had more struggles?
Used an IBLC for all of my babies, and I think it was because the impact I had with my first baby. She completely changed my whole breastfeeding journey because I was like about to quit. And so I just had a special place in my heart for that. And so with the other babies, I kind of, even though there wasn't an issue right away, I just wanted that relationship established. Even with my fifth baby, we had IBLC come to the house. I think it was day 3. And I just wanted her to check for oral ties. If she was seeing anything that like I couldn't see, just wanted to have that support.
I love that. Yeah, I love working with lactation consultants, and I know that a lot of them are really, I guess, like encouraging and just really sharing the benefits of connecting with one prenatally and just kind of already having an established relationship with one as part of your birth team, so that you're really able to, like, go into it
Yes.
prepared as best as possible, and to already have someone lined up. So I love to hear that even as a mom of 5, you really use the resources that are available to you. And I love that. So what are, like, I guess maybe share some things that, like, well, actually, let me take that back. So your fourth, remind
Mhm.
me, was it Cadence or Riley?
Riley.
Riley. Okay. So with Riley, so I guess those first few weeks, did you have to pump, I guess, and bottle feed, or how were you approaching the oral aversion?
So her journey, we did not get to like, so she ended up having really severe jaundice in the
Mm-hmm.
it was like day 3, it showed up kind of just like out of nowhere. And it wasn't because lack of feeding, like lack
Mm-hmm.
of milk supply. They're just genetically predispositioned with my genetics to have jaundice.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she went to the hospital, I actually couldn't feed her for 24 hours or hold her, and that was really hard. And
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of was like the start of like the rocky road I had. Like I was like already kind of getting sensitive. And during that time, she was clicking, like, and we
Mm-hmm.
could not, no matter how, we couldn't change the clicking. And when we got her, um, evaluated, she had the tongue tie, and I wish she needed it done. I wish we would have approached it differently. It was very aggressive with the stretches, and so her mouth was just like really inflamed and sore, and I was just told it's fine, like she's just crying because you're messing with her mouth. And as a mom, like I knew like this doesn't feel right, like she's like actually in pain. And so that's when I had reached out to the IBLC. She came over and she was like, oh yeah, like this is pretty bad, like how inflamed she was. And she wouldn't take a bottle. We couldn't really get her to nurse because she would just, she, it was painful for her. And then eventually she associated that pain with the breast or with the bottle. So she would like pull back and scream.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would, with like a syringe or like a spoon, put the breast milk and just like put it in her mouth that way. And we were trying to help give her time to heal. And she gave me some exercises. So we did that for a while. Like, well, I would try to nurse her, like I'd offer it. And then if she wasn't, I would just like spoon feed her or syringe feed her. But that didn't last too long. Like she eventually took the breast. I think if the syringe and the spoon wasn't going to work, I would have to do, I forget what it's called. It's like with the tube and they put the breast milk through the tube.
Mm-hmm.
Because during this time, she wasn't losing weight, but she wasn't gaining weight.
Mm-hmm.
And with like the jaundice, they weren't really happy with that. And so we just stayed persistent. And that was really hard. That was really hard, like mentally. I was struggling with that because it took a lot of time to feed her, and I had 3 other young children.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we eventually got back to breastfeeding, it was like there was no emotional bond there. with her. She just wanted to nurse to drink her milk and then she was done. It was like this, I don't know how to explain. She just wasn't bonding or attached to it emotionally.
Mhm.
Yes, I think breastfeeding gives them a nutritional need, but there's a whole psychological, emotional aspect to it for mom and for baby.
Mhm.
And so that also was really sad. And I was just like, she didn't want to comfort nurse. It was very different experience. And so I was like, Lord, just like, please let us make it to a year.
Mhm.
And that really, that made me really sad. But the Lord was really sweet. And I think around 9 months, she started having that emotional connection and we got to bond and I nursed her till she was 24 months, and we did a lot of making up for it, like the bond.
Yeah. Well, and
I
I'm
kind of
sure.
went off a rail right there.
Oh no, you're totally fine. Because I was going right along with you. Because I was just gonna add that I would imagine with 5 kids, they all bond and
Yeah, yeah.
attach in different ways. They
Mhm.
all, and that all I'm sure is represented differently in their different personalities and their different needs and all of that. So maybe that's just part of who she is. She just wants it,
Mhm.
wants the fuel, and we can connect in other ways.
Yeah. Well, it was around that 9 months that like she was starting to connect
Mm-hmm.
through breastfeeding, and so I was thankful for that.
So, another random question I have for you, I guess. With any of yours, did you pump or did you pump with all of them? Were you the type of mom who wanted a stash, or did you do any like bottle feeding, or was it mostly exclusively breastfeeding? Like, how was that sort of stuff?
And so with my first, I went back to college a month after I had her, and I would pump with my husband in the school parking lot.
Mm hmm.
But that did not last. I think about 3 months in, we decided that me staying at home with my daughter was the best choice for us.
Mm hmm.
But she would drink milk from a bottle. Like, so sometimes, like, Corey would share like, he'd get pumped milk and he'd give her a bottle and kind of give me a break. And then my second baby refused a bottle. We try to have the lactation help us get her to take a bottle and she refused. And it was the same story for my third baby, same story for my fourth baby and fifth baby.
Yeah.
They just refused. And I really wanted them to take a bottle just because, like, if I had to go to a doctor's appointment or like, no, they wouldn't. So now they always came with me. I did pump because I've always had like an oversupply. And so two of my lactations I did pump and then I also donated.
Okay. That's awesome. I love that. You're like such a superhero.
Oh, I promise.
I mean, I think you are. I think it's really cool.
Very sweet.
Especially to like, I mean, you do so much. Like, you just do it all. And I love that. So, just as a little bit, I guess, like background, now that we're well on our way here, let's go all the way back.
Okay.
Did you like, did, did you have any experience or exposure to breastfeeding like before you became a mom? Like, had you ever like seen anyone else in your life breastfeed or anything like that, like as a kid?
Mom breastfed my youngest sister, so I'm the oldest of four girls. My mom tried to breastfeed me, and then I had jaundice, and they told her the jaundice was because of her breast milk, and then she stopped breastfeeding, and then that I think was hard for her. So then she chose to use formula for my two sisters. But then she did breastfeed my youngest sister, I think for 18 months. But I don't remember seeing it, but I was also in school.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, not really. Like it just wasn't a thing. And
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird because it's a big part of my life now.
Yeah, same for me. Like, I mean, obviously, I do birth works.
Yeah.
I see a lot of breastfeeding, and I just have this really strange, like, side passion for it, I guess you could say, or just love to encourage moms who are nursing. But in my own personal life, I've not really known anyone who's like breastfed. Like my mom didn't breastfeed me, and
Mhm.
I don't have a lot of like aunts and things like that. So I'm right there with you. I don't know where this love for breastfeeding came from.
I wonder if some of it is just like this, like as women, like whether you have given birth or not, like we're all connected in that kind of way. And I
Mm-hmm.
think being like in the same with like breastfeeding is that even if you haven't or you couldn't, or it's something that can connect us as women, even though we have different stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just so neat. I like it a lot. So I know you said that like when you first started breastfeeding your first, that, you got a little bit of pushback, people challenging you and saying, that you could try, but,
Hmm.
it might not, you probably won't or whatever. So throughout the years, like, have you gotten any other like judgment or pushback from anybody in your life? Like, has anybody ever commented on how long you've breastfed or anything like that?
No, but I'm very confident in my breastfeeding and how long I'm choosing to breastfeed my kids, and I'm gonna shut that down now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the confidence now. Like I think sometimes I can see the look like, oh, they're still nursing, and I'm like, yep. Like, and so no, not really. If anything, and maybe it's like the women I surround myself with, just a lot of encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Have you been the type of mom to kind of openly breastfeed in public, or are you more modest, I guess, about that? Like, some feel more comfortable, in private and prefer not to breastfeed in public, and some don't mind at all.
Hmm. That's actually been very different for me over the years. Like, so when I first started nursing my daughter, I had so much milk and we were trying to learn the latching thing that it was like such a show to try and latch her on that I was like, no, like, I can't do this in public. And then when I had to do it in public, I would go to like the car or
Yeah.
in the bathroom stall because I felt almost like, it's this taboo thing and nobody can see and the cover wouldn't work because and then I was pretty modest, and then I remember I had actually never seen a woman like openly breastfeed. We were at I think it was with just the two girls before I got pregnant with my son. We were at a balloon festival, and there was this mom with her family just nursing her baby. And it just stopped me in my tracks because I had never seen a woman just so openly breastfeed like that. And I was just like, she's doing it. And like nobody around her cared. And it was like I needed that like little bit of confidence. And I remember I might have spooked her out because it's a weird thing. I went up to her and I said, thank you for feeding your baby in public. Like it gives other women like me the confidence to do that. And after that, I think I started to attempt nursing more, like gain my own confidence. And then I met like our homeschool group that had a lot of nursing moms. And girl, they were just like whipping it out, like not even blinking an eye. And I was just like, it was like I needed to see that and be in the presence of that to gain my own confidence almost.
Yeah.
But then the more children I had, it was like, yeah, no, like I just have to nurse like going out to the park or something. Like, and I want my daughters to know that there is nothing wrong with nursing and feeding your baby in public, however you choose.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's important for my son to see that so that he can be supportive of his future wife and how she wants to feed her baby. So now I'll just whip it out. I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, and again, I feel like I'm so cheesy because like I'm like I can't wait. I want to like
Yeah.
go everywhere and breastfeed
Yeah.
everywhere and just
Yeah.
like cause scenes
Well,
everywhere I go.
Well, and
I
more
can't wait.
times than not, I feel like if you have a problem with a woman nursing her baby, they've got a problem, right? Like that's a them thing. And like, I don't know. I love it. It's exciting.
Yeah, I think so too. I completely agree. So, is there anything about breastfeeding that's kind of surprised you? Something you didn't really expect or see coming about breastfeeding?
And probably the whole emotional and psychological aspect to breastfeeding. And I would say that would be the same for birth too, because it was always like with breastfeeding, you feed the baby and then the baby is fed because fed is best. And the same thing with like birth. The main goal is to have a healthy baby. And then we just like aren't talking about the whole psychological aspect that goes into it. And so I think I was really surprised at the bond, actually, how just I don't know, I can't explain it, but also like how it would also heal me as a
Mm-hmm.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you struggle with like any, I guess, emotional side effects? I guess that's the only thing I can think to call it when you were breastfeeding. Like, sometimes I've heard of moms who like just get really sad when they breastfeed for some, at some points,
Yeah, I know
or
what you're
like they
talking about.
cry, they just can't help it, or like just overwhelmed with like really positive emotions. Just like, did you experience any of those like kind of hormonal emotional roller coasters when nursing?
I would describe it as euphoria. And it was probably more in the very beginning when like the hormones are churning. And I felt it more. I didn't really feel it with my first baby, but I was very medicated. And then my other babies, it was like just so euphoric every single time I nursed them. Outside of there, that's weird to say because I had all the challenges and I had like the hard stuff. But then yes, it was like this feeling of just lightness and cloudiness. But I also struggled with postpartum depression and anxiety with baby number 2, 3, a little bit with number 4, and I did not this last time. So that was also tossed in there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, do you feel like breastfeeding had any sort of effect on that one way or the other? Like when you reflect on your postpartum depression, like do you remember how, like if breastfeeding made that a little bit more intense or if maybe breastfeeding was a release for that or a comfort
Um,
for you?
It was a release because, there would be moments where I felt like I couldn't do anything right. And one thing I like depression and anxiety can be a liar. The thoughts that come into your brain aren't always, they're not true.
Mhm.
And so like I would feel often like I'm a bad mom because I'm going through all of this. But when I would feed my baby, it was like the thing that like, yeah, I'm gonna cry. It was like the one thing I knew that I was doing right.
Yeah, okay, please don't
And
cry.
so, yeah, it was like, like, okay, like maybe everything's in fire around you, but I knew I was at least doing something right. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know I was gonna cry.
Yeah. Yeah, please don't. Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. So I know you mentioned with one, I think it was your first. You had mentioned using like some nipple shields and some different tools and things through each of your journey. Like each of your journeys, have you kind of used some of those tools through all of them, or just a couple? And do you remember one particular nursing tool, like kind of being your favorite? Like, are you like a Haka mom or not? Like, what are some of your very favorite like breastfeeding tools or accessories that you just like tell everyone about?
Okay, so I only used a nipple shield for my first baby, and that was to help heal the nipple, and that was the only time that I needed to use a nipple shield. I would have if I needed to, but I did not need to. What else was my favorite? There's these like little ladybug collect, they're like shaped in a ladybug, and it's like it's made by Haka, I believe.
I think so. Yeah.
It catches anything like any leakage, so
Mm-hmm.
then you can store that,
Yeah.
collect that milk. I also used a Haka. I know that that one can be kind of, some people really love it or they really hate it. I loved it because I could collect milk without having to pump.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had quite a few clogged ducts, and I've also dealt with mastitis. And you fill that Haka up with some like warm water and some Epsom salts, and it like helped drain the clogged duct for me with like
Mm-hmm.
massaging and a couple of other things. So that was a favorite. Used a lot of lanolin, which is like, I might be wrong. I think it's like sheep fat. Lanolin, it's pretty popular, I feel like, to help soothe like chapped nipples and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a good breastfeeding pillow or pillows,
Mm-hmm.
like being supported. And so, but that's it. That's pretty much all the tools I needed.
Yeah, I love that. I remember I used to watch the like 19 Kids and Counting and like the Duggar TV shows and stuff. And I remember, I can't think, Michelle, that's her name, Michelle Duggar. By the time she was like having her like 19th, like in the show, she would like walk around with a boppy just like around her belly. And she just always had a baby under there, like under a cover. And it was just always under
Yeah.
there nursing. And she just walked around like with this boppy around her like it was
Yeah.
just
So
a
I did
normal
that.
accessory.
This last time I got they're called a My Breast. So there's like the Boppy and then there's like the My Breast Friend.
Mm-hmm.
And we like in the past could never like afford like the nicer one.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got it this last time and it clips in the back. So it like stays on. And I would just like, yeah, I'd walk around with the baby and
Yeah.
like nurse it. It's just comfortable. That's funny. Yeah.
So, I don't know, I have so many questions. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about homestead life while you breastfeed. So let's talk about some logistics here when you're, collecting
Yeah.
eggs and milking cows and things. um,
Hmm.
while you like do all of that. Yeah, you said you use that pillow. Did you ever master like the nursing while also wearing baby? I'm guessing you wear your babies because
Hmm.
again, how
Yeah.
do you do homestead life without wearing them?
I don't know how you have multiple children and you don't wear babies
Yeah,
because it's like a lifeline.
yeah.
Yeah.
So did it take you long to master nursing and while they're like attached at the same time?
I started doing that with my second, nursing her in like the Moby wrap at the time. And
Mm-hmm.
so I've always nursed my babies in the carrier. It's also easy, like when we're out in public and grocery shopping, I can just nurse the baby while we're shopping.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things in the last two seasons of having a nursing baby, specifically this one, is so in the past, I would be like, okay, I got to nurse the baby on the go. Like the show has to go, like
Mm-hmm.
kids have to be fed, taken care of, and I would just like nurse the baby. And one of the things I've done differently, especially this last time, is honoring that natural built-in rest. And so if I have to nurse the baby, I'm going to nurse the baby. And I think it's important for me, like my daughters are watching, my two older ones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've really it's like God kind of naturally has this built-in rest for a woman when you're like
Mm-hmm.
nursing your baby. And so like I will sit and I will nurse my babies. Not all the time because sometimes there's certain things where I have to nurse on the go, but
Yeah.
I'm going to sit and I'm going to nurse my baby and that's important.
Absolutely. Fully support
Mhm.
that and agree. I love that. Yeah, and I mean as someone who's in, the birthy world and, connected to so many moms, I do feel like I am hearing that more and more. I feel like, you get your first and it's like all survival mode and like figuring it all
Mhm.
out. And then you have your second and you're like, okay, cool. Now I know what I'm doing and now I can do all the things and I
Oh
can
yeah.
take care of this baby and that baby. And then by the time you're like having, your third, fourth, or fifth, especially like, as it goes on, you're like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. I did all of the things through those pregnancies and those births and those newborn years, and like, I don't want to do that this time. I really want to soak this one in. And so then they're
Mhm.
like going the opposite way. It's like, it's funny to
Oh yeah.
watch kind of the cycle play out a lot.
Oh yeah. I think like the more kids you have, you realize how truly fleeting it
Mm-hmm.
is and but also how there is nothing more important than what I am doing here with my children
Yeah,
and honoring that and honoring my body and as like women, like we do not have to do it all and we should not have to do it all. And we're allowed to have rest and slowness too.
exactly. Absolutely. So, I feel like this might, like, you may have just answered this next question, but I was going to ask, I guess, what are some things that you would want, like, other moms to understand about breastfeeding? Or what would you want to share, some wisdom you'd want to share with them, I guess?
That's hard because I feel like breastfeeding is so unique. And
Mm-hmm.
even if you've done it once, doesn't mean the second time is going to look like that. Like that each journey is very different and very unique,
Mm-hmm.
even with like your life circumstances. But I feel like that it's not just this physical thing, it's this like emotional thing. um, and the importance of nutrition while you're and properly nourishing your body while you're feeding your baby. I feel like sometimes as a mom, it's easy to grab the extra chicken nuggets that your kids aren't eating or
Mm-hmm.
like putting yourself aside. And you have to take care of your body, your temple, so that you can also take care of your babies. So, nutrition, nutrition, nutrition.
Coming from the nutrition queen, I feel like and you always take the best pictures too. Like, let's just put in a little plug for everybody to follow you on Instagram because
You're so
you're
sweet.
so good at all the things and you make it all look so pretty while you do it. And
Oh,
I
that
love
you're,
it.
I just do like a quick little, but thank
It's
you. There's a really good, I wanted to share. It's called The First 40 Days. It's a postpartum book. And I thought it was going to just be like this recipe book.
mhm.
And it's not just it does have postpartum recipes because I can understand how it can feel overwhelming or just not knowing how and what your body needs. But she just talks about postpartum in this like beautiful way and why you would eat certain foods or do certain things. So it is like if you're going to read a book, read that one. If you're going to during your pregnancy or planning on getting pregnant or I love it. It's so good.
Yeah, okay. I'll definitely be sure and add a link to that in the show notes for anybody who wants to check it out. So, do you have like a favorite nursing memory or just a moment that really stands out that you'll kind of cherish forever through your journeys?
Oh, girl, you make me cry again. Yes. So it was actually this current nursing journey. And so like where we're at today, like we just had no idea like was going to be our life. And God has just been so gracious and surprising in all the turns. And I will never forget my oldest when she was 2. She was like, "Mommy, when are we going to live on some land?" And I was like, "One day," but I was like at the time like, we'll never do that. Like, we'll never be able to do that. And so nursing, like, it will be our last baby. I remember sitting, I was probably a couple of days postpartum on the rocking chair on our back porch, and I was nursing him, and like all of my kids were out playing in like the back pasture. And it was just like this kind of like really sweet full circle after having like the most beautiful birth. And I'm just nursing my baby with all of my children and my husband and my mom and our land. And it was just like kind of this surreal moment for me.
Yeah,
Like, so nothing really, it was just kind of the moment that was happening. Yeah.
that's really sweet.
Hmm.
So I think now we should end on a happier note, on a lighter note. So let's talk about Bonnie. Who's Bonnie?
Bonnie is our dairy cow. She's my girl.
Yeah. Okay. I want to know all about her. I want to hear all the things.
So yeah, Bonnie, we started homesteading like 3 years ago, and we got Bonnie when I was 5 months postpartum.
With Micah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, she's our dairy cow, and she provides nutritious milk for my family and dairy products. And we just recently found out she is pregnant, so she'll have her little calf next March sometime. So
That is
she's
so exciting.
I'm like so I'm excited, but I'm also nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Earth is great. But cow birth is maybe a little intimidating if when you've never done it before. Or
Mm-mm.
just yeah, I mean, so many unknowns, like learning so many new things. So, are you guys gonna? Because I've heard too, like if you don't watch them really closely, like you'll just kind of wake up one morning and they'll have a baby. Are you guys kind of gonna have a, I guess, hand like wanting to have a hands off approach with that, or are you guys gonna like install cameras and watch her all the time? And is your goal to be like present when she has her baby?
The goal is definitely to be present in case there is a complication and she needs us to come in and intervene. But we're going to be hands off. I'm going to let her do her thing. This will be her third calf. And
Okay.
so she's never had any complications before. So there will be signs on her body
Mm-hmm.
that will indicate her having a calf within the next 24, 48 hours. And so then probably by then I will like even through the night, like check her every 2 hours and just kind of see where she's moving along. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about like the actual like milking and like the dairy aspect, I guess, of having a dairy cow, just because, we
Mhm.
are talking about nursing. And so I have some like, I guess, logistical educational questions, but then also some other ones. So this is her third calf, right? But did she have the first two with you guys or before she came to you guys?
So we bought her with her second calf.
Okay.
Her calf was 5 days old when they made it here. And so, but that was her first time calf sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So calf sharing is where the baby gets the calf gets their share of milk, and then I get the extras.
Yeah.
And so that was her first time. She did really, really good. Like she was like she never got like aggressive or weird with me. Like she shared really well. So, but we don't have her calf anymore. So
So what was that learning curve like, I guess, or like experiencing like did you go in like let's compare it to your breastfeeding journey? Like when you started out, you were like, I don't know what to do, and this is weird. Did you kind
it's
of go
scary.
into it with like her the same way, where you were just like, did you just jump right in and like feel confident, or were you like, I have no idea what I'm doing, and this is really weird?
I had no idea what I was doing. I was really terrified, and I didn't realize how humbling it would be to be underneath this 1,000-pound animal, like right where they can like, because they don't kick from behind. They like kind of can kick from like the side, and that's
Mm-hmm.
like where you're at. And she just submits to you like willingly. but
Mhm.
it was still really scary. She's a sweet friend of mine now. She came over the first time I milked Bonnie. And yeah, it was hard. It was a huge learning curve and I didn't like it. I thought I made a huge mistake, costed my family a lot of money because she was a pretty penny. And I was like, I'll never forget, she accidentally stepped on me and I came inside and I threw the milk. I threw a tantrum. I threw him the milk bucket and I was like, I don't want this milk from this stupid cow. And my husband was like, it's not about the milk. And kind of just everything that comes with why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it took about 3 months, and I would say it takes about 3 months for me with all of my other kids to like
Mhm.
really like smooth sailing. And so yeah, at the beginning, I did not enjoy it. But I had a couple of other people say,
Yeah.
keep going. Like this is hard, but keep going because it's going to get better. And so like I just kept remembering like it's going to get better. It's going to get better and it did. Now it's like I enjoy my time for the most part. I enjoy my time with her. But the same with breastfeeding is like in my hards that I had like I keep going because it's going to get
Mhm.
better. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So I guess like do you feel like a special bond with her, I guess, like kind of mom to mom and breastfeeding mom to breastfeeding cow? What is that like? Like when like what sort of things are you thinking like when you're milking her or just loving on her? Do you like spend any time like reflecting on your own journeys and just your own motherhood and things like that?
Yeah, I'm definitely. It's so funny because like I thought we'd get the cow and it's this transactional thing and she'll give us milk and we'll feed her and provide her shelter. And yeah, no, I am so bonded to her. And it's so cute because like I know she likes me. We'll leave on vacation and we'll come home and she like when she sees me, she starts like running around. She gets the zoomies and she's like jumping in the air and like she rubs all over me and licks me and it's just sweet. So we're definitely bonded and also I'm very deeply grateful for all that she provides for my family. And so I spend a lot of time when I'm milking by myself in prayer
Mm-hmm.
and kind of just like asking, like surrendering my day to the Lord and then like asking the Lord for like wisdom and guidance through my day and how to mother each one of my children. And I usually pray for my husband's work day. But more recently, my husband has been milking with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so him and I get to chat in the morning and just like sometimes we don't chat. Sometimes it's just shut off and the birds are chirping and the milk is hitting the pail and it's just quiet and that is nice and sweet too.
Yeah, I love that. That's so sweet. So, with Bonnie, are you guys going to keep her next calf or no?
Don't want to upset people. We are keeping her next calf and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to raise her calf to feed our family
Okay.
when the calf is old of size.
Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing that
Yes.
depends on the calf's gender.
Well, so if it was a bull,
Mm-hmm.
he would become a steer. We would
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
You
you
can
know,
you can say it. It's okay. It's homestead life, girl. Say it.
sometimes I think people like it's like kind of like a hard thing for people
Mm-hmm.
to like hear, and I try to be sensitive to it, but also
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So we won't snip him, but we'll use these bands that will make him fall off, and then he
Yeah.
won't have the bull hormones
Mm-hmm.
that make them more aggressive, so he'll become a steer.
Mm-hmm.
So he's no longer sterile, or no, he is sterile.
No longer
And
fertile.
yeah, yeah. And then we'll raise him to feed our family. And so, yeah, that's the plan.
So, if it were to be a girl, would you raise her to be a dairy cow or would you raise her the same way you would a steer?
So we talked about that because her last calf was a heifer, so a girl, but we sold her as a dairy cow. We decided that it would best, with what we're paying for like meat and stuff like that, that the best thing would be to fill our freezer. And so we're also not in need of another milk cow right now. And so I think in the future, like when we're ready to train our next milk cow, we'll choose to keep that if it's a girl.
Mm-hmm. That's so neat. I love that. I did have one, I think at least one other question. So how long is an average cow nursing journey? Like how long will she nurse the calf?
That is very different. So a lot of people will pull the calf after they get so many days of colostrum,
Mm-hmm.
or they will pull the calf immediately and then bottle feed the calf colostrum. It just depends on like infrastructure, goals, that kind of thing. It's really kind of individual per homestead or dairy, but typically people will immediately pull the calf and bottle feed the calf the mom's milk for different
Mm-hmm.
reasons. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. You had mentioned that she calf, or is it called calf sharing? Is that what you called it?
Yep.
With
Yep.
with her calf previously, and so that was
Hmm.
where she nursed the cow and you milked too, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we would like, oh my gosh, she made so much milk. The calf would also, the cow has her udder and then
Mm-hmm.
she has four quarters. So each quarter produces its own thing of milk that is separate from the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
So the calf would drink just one quarter of milk and I would milk out the other three. So like when people say, well, you're taking all the milk. No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
She's not drinking nowhere near. Now, around 3 months, the calf will drink all four quarters of the milk. And at that point, we would put her up at night in our barn stall. She'd have hay, her calf feed, water. And then I would nurse mom in the morning and I'd leave a quarter for her and then release them back. And then she's with her mom nursing all day.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how we share when she's drinking a little bit more.
That's so
Yeah.
neat. So do
Mhm.
you also use her milk to make like butter and buttermilk and all those other things too?
We make butter, yogurt, kefir, cottage cheese. I attempted my first hard pressed cheese of cheddar, and my dang dog ate it.
I remember that. I felt so bad for you. I was like,
I was so upset, and everybody's like, just eat the middle, but it was a cheddar, and so like it didn't taste good because it's got to age. And like we use her milk raw, and I just did not feel comfortable with like dogs' mouths are gross, and so
yeah,
I have not attempted another cheese wheel. I'm still feeling a little salty about that.
yeah, that's okay. Time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
Just you'll heal and you'll be ready to try again. It'll be okay.
Yes.
You'll get there.
Yeah.
I have
The
faith in you.
dog the dog is waiting, so
Yeah, well, we'll just leave the dog somewhere else.
I know. He knows. He's waiting. Like he just waits for his opportunity. And I thought I had it far enough back where he couldn't get it. Just is what it is.
Tisk
Yeah.
tisk. Naughty doggy. That's hilarious. So I feel like I asked a million questions, but also I feel like there's just so much more. Was there anything you wanted to share about your own journeys or about Bonnie, about birth, really about anything? Was there anything else that you wanted to share that I didn't ask about?
Maybe like the support that I had
Oh, yeah.
because I like there's a part like I was the one nursing my baby and I'm
Mm-hmm.
the one that, you know, I'm doing the physical nursing, but like I don't feel like it's just my journey and I don't feel like it's just my baby's journey. I feel like it's also my husband's journey as
Mm-hmm.
well and my family because they are such a huge part of it and very active in it. And so like when in the middle of the night, like I am nursing, I didn't do anything except nurse. And
Mm-hmm.
so he would like get up, change the baby's diaper, get me a new nursing pad, get me my snack, fresh water. He would like fill my pad with like the tucks,
Mm-hmm.
like all I had to do was go to the bathroom and then feed my baby. And he took care of everything else. And as we've had more kids, like he's taken the kids where they needed to be. My mom will come and stay like 2-ish weeks and take care of all of my feedings. She'll feed me. I mean, she's feeding my family too, but like my dad would like come and bring meals for like, my family. I like literally like the first month of nursing, that's all I had to do was nurse and every single thing was taken care of. But like, especially like my husband, he's been the biggest support in my nursing journey. And I think that like, it's not just me and Micah. I think it's like me, Micah, and my husband's because he's like the background that like nobody's seeing, like
Mm-hmm.
everything that he's doing to support me and Micah or
Yeah.
like my other kids too. And my big kids are that way too. Now that they've gotten older, like they'll come and see me like, hey mom, do you need water or do you need a snack? And so I just kind of wanted to add, and I know that that's not what everybody's, what they have, but I am very thankful that it's part of my story. It's our story, as kind of what I wanted. I guess
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at is just my husband and my family support.
Yeah, that's so sweet. I um that's another thing that that I've always loved about following you. There's smaller glimpses, I feel like, but every now and then there are glimpses of your husband and your love story and the connection you guys have, and you can tell, I mean, even someone like me who, just follows you on Instagram can tell that what you guys have is really sweet and special and growing up together. Like, I love whenever I've seen like some posts of like, I guess after the kids go to bed and you guys are having your time and you go out to, like, I guess you have like a shop or something where his skateboard thingy
Hmm.
figure is, and like it just reminds me, like, I picture y'all when you were 14 and he
Oh
was
yeah.
like skateboarding around and stuff. Like, it's y'all still do that. It's just so cute and I love it.
Oh yeah, I think like I just love the man.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for our relationship and the pouring into, but yeah, he has a huge impact on me nursing all of my kids and how he supports, but also like my mom and like, so.
Yeah. What were his thoughts, I guess, or do you know kind of what his thoughts were on breastfeeding when you first started and kind of how they've evolved? Like, was he, very encouraging, or was he just kind of like, well, if you want to breastfeed, that's cool, but, I don't really know. Like, kind of where was he on that spectrum in the beginning compared to now?
So he like, I don't think that he had a strong feeling either way. He's so wonderful. He sees me as like the mother and that like I have this natural mother intuition for my children. Like that is different than his intuition and he really respects that for me. And so he's like, if that's what you believe is best for them, then he is 100% all in the support. Like when I wanted to have a home birth, he was, if that is how you feel safe and how you need to birth your baby, we're doing that. And it was like homeschooling the kids. He's just
Mm-hmm.
always been like, not that he doesn't have opinions and
Mm-hmm.
or anything like that, but he really respects me as the mother and what I feel is best for the kids in that kind of way. So he's always been like, if you are gonna breastfeed, like he's 100% like all in on that. And so it's really sweet. Yeah.
Yes, it is. I love that. It's been so sweet to talk with
I
you and hear all about your journeys, and to just learn so much from you. And I really hope that everything that you've shared really resonates with other moms who are on similar journeys or are considering breastfeeding. Just want to say a huge thank you for sharing, and
Thanks for having me.
happy World Breastfeeding Week when this
Yes.
episode airs, anyway. Yeah. Well, I will be sure and post, like, I'll put like in the show notes, people can find you on Instagram, um, and connect with you. And yeah,
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
thank you so much. You're very welcome.